So, are you guys ready for the real story? First, I woke up and it was so hot. It seemed like the air was being sucked out of my lungs and I could hardly breathe. I had to find a way out. In the distance, I could see something like a cave or something. So I started walking towards it. But then I came across a river of lava and there was no way to get across. I was looking around and then up on the hill I saw this boulder sort of almost ready to fall off the edge. I climbed up the massive cliff face to get there. When I got there I tried to push the boulder down with this massive stick and it just wouldn't budge. There was nothing I could do. When I looked around again, there was this demon-like creature just sort of standing there. He seemed like he was strong enough to push the boulder down. So I asked him if he would do it, and he said that he would, in exchange for my liver. So I dug into my body and I gave it to him, because I needed to get the hell out of there, and I hadn't been using my liver since I gave up drinking 10 years ago. He pushed the boulder down with ease. And then when I climbed back down, the river had dried up. There was no more lava and I could cross. I carried on for what seemed like an eternity. And then finally I came across the cave. I was so weary because it really seemed as though a lifetime had been by and I felt so old and tired. When I entered the cave, it was completely dark. There was no light whatsoever. I couldn't see at all. But then there was sort of this rock golem type creature. I don't really know how to explain it. But he had these incredibly bright blue eyes, seeming to be made from some sort of precious stone. And he had a torch, and I asked if I could borrow it, if I could use it to get through the cave. And well, he said that was no problem, but he would have to trade it for my brain. And well, I wasn't really thinking properly anyway because I was so tired, so I thought, well, he can have it. I got to get out of here. So I gave him my brain, and then I kept on. Sorry, and then I kept on walking. When I had the torch with me, the cave lit up so bright with all these blue gems or rocks or whatever they were. They were so incredible. They were just like the golem's eyes. When I made it out of the cave, there was this forest up ahead, but that didn't really faze me because I practically lived my whole life in a forest. So I just walked on through, and I don't know if it was because I didn't have a brain and I wasn't thinking properly, but I could swear that the trees were moving, sort of serpentine-like. But I carried on through anyway, and eventually I got to the edge of the forest, but it was just so dense with trees that I couldn't get through. And then, this is going to be really hard for you guys to believe, but the snake came down and it said that it could make a path for me in exchange for my small intestines. Well, I didn't have the mind to say no, so I pulled them out and gave them to him. I could have sworn that the intestines turned into another snake and melded in with the trees. Well, now that my path was clear, I kept on walking. There seemed to be a blue glow coming up ahead, so I followed the light, and finally I came across this door, which surely would lead me home, except it didn't have a door handle. But when I looked down, there was this welcoming mat that said heart. I knew what I had to do. I had to take out my heart and leave it there, and then surely the door would open. I took out my heart and I placed it on that mat, believing that surely the door would open now. But instead, I dropped down dead. And then I woke up with no skin, which is ironic really, because in hell I was just a sack of skin. But here, I was everything but my skin. And that, my dears, is the end of my story. It's shocking, I know. So, what do you guys think? Well, Mrs. Reindeer, I've only got one thing I need to ask. Can I have your kidneys? Go to hell.